When was the last time you were consciously present with yourself, with your wife, with your children, without any boredom? Just that conscious stillness. Because see, the modern man, they're addicted to motion, to chasing, to fixing, to constantly proving something. They think if they slow down, they're going to lose. That stillness means weakness. That if they're not grinding 24/7, someone else is going to win. Right? But that's not the case. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of power. See the man, right, who can sit with himself without reaching, right? The man who can hold his, frame in any room with any person under any pressure. That man is dangerous, right? Because he is not chasing, he's choosing. And this isn't about being passive. This is about being anchored in the moment. It's about moving from a state of clarity, not compulsion. And see where we live in a world full of reactive boys chasing approval, chasing women, chasing money, chasing an identity. Stillness makes you magnetic. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly why. And I'll show you how to step in to that quiet power that makes everything around you start shifting. Okay? Because like every lesson I've learned in life, I had to learn this the hard way. Right? I used to think stillness was weakness. I thought if I wasn't constantly doing, constantly pushing, constantly on the go, I would fall behind or I was failing. That someone else would beat me to it, would outwork me. That slowing down meant that I was losing at life. Right? So I chased success. I chased validation. I chased peace, but in the wrong places. Right? Before I finally got sober, I had a lifelong dream of building my own barbershop, and I did. Right? I thought that would bring me peace, but it didn't. Right? After I opened it, I was on the go all the time, working long days, no time off, no holidays. I owned the shop, but I was a prisoner to it. And I told myself I was doing this for the right reasons, right? For my kids, for my future, for my mission, right? For my wife, for my security. But see, underneath it all, I was just trying to prove that I wasn't broken, that I was good enough, that I wasn't a failure at life, right? Still carrying that old program that said, if I stop, I'll be forgotten. Nobody will notice, nobody will care. So I kept moving, I kept forcing, I kept trying to earn what I hadn't given myself internally. And it worked, right? On the surface, business looked good, shop was busy, lots of clients, people were paying attention. But see, inside, I was fucking roasted, still addicted, still disconnected. Right then, I had the universe intervened and gave me a wonderful spiritual awakening that helped me finally get sober, right? And after the guidance I'd received and connecting with angels and spirit guides and all that, and I had been guided to sell the shop, so I sold the shop, right? And I set out impacting lives, thinking everything's going to be different now. I was on cloud nine because I felt different, right? But what happened really was I had changed my business, but I hadn't changed my patterns. Now I was working from home, right? I told myself I'm always around the kids. I'm always around my wife. I take them to school. I pick them up, right? But deep down, I knew I was lying to myself because even though I was there physically, my mind was always somewhere else, building programs, writing posts, trying to get clients, reading books, obsessed, obsessed, obsessed. Same restlessness, different disguise, right? And here's the part that I don't think I seen coming, right? That see that constant on the go, that constant moving. It was just pushing everything that I truly wanted further away from me, right? I was like a repelling machine, right? I wasn't attracting aligned clients. I was attracting clients who were the total opposite of what I wanted, right? I wasn't leading from a grounded, true power, right? I wasn't present with my family. I was there, but I wasn't there. Right? And then one day everything stopped. My heart sank. My wife was out with her friend and she collapsed. I've spoke about this before. And at first they thought she was gone, right? No pulse, just white as a sheet. right? The paramedics arrived just in time. And that moment, thinking about it now, I'm emotional. That moment gave me the shock of my life. Like the universe just stepped in and said, look, this is what actually matters. And suddenly everything else was stripped away. My energy, my motivation, right? My desire to create. And all that mattered was my wife, my family, right? And the main task at hand was my wife's battle back to normality, and a battle that we're still fighting today. But the difference is, every single moment I'm present in it right now with her. I'm not distracted. I'm not, chasing anything. Every day I'm here present with her. And that moment and that time in my life, that's what led me into a different place, into stillness, what I call my lone wolf stage. And I've discussed this in previous videos as well. And it was like life just sat me down and said, listen, you need to stop and you need to feel this right now. And at first, I felt like I was again failing. I felt like I had lost my edge, right? But see, in that time alone, in that silence, I realised that I'd never ever been still. I'd been running since I was a kid, running from pain, running from anger, running from judgment, running from fear of being nothing. And it was in that time of reflection, of stillness, I felt something that I hadn't felt. I don't even think I ever felt it. I was going to say I felt in years, but I don't think I've ever felt it. And that was power. Not hype, not adrenaline, just this knowing, right? This knowing that things were different. And that's when shit changed, right? Because I stopped chasing, right? And I started choosing, right? I stopped trying to force things because that's what I was doing for so long. I was forcing this program, forcing this, forcing that. And it was just, and I was the same results all the time. So I started to align with what was already mine, right? I stopped trying to prove myself and I just started being, embodying me. And that's when, shit started to change because I finally gave myself permission to go all in on YouTube. That's had been my dream for the longest time. And I had kind of dipped my toe in the water, but I never went all in because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe I had it in me. I thought that nobody would care what I had to say. I thought that I would run out of videos, nobody would watch. Right? And I was making all these excuses why I shouldn't go all in. But in that stillness, I received guided messages, right? I received the clarity and the courage that I needed. And now, today is my 75th day. I cannot believe it. I set out and I said, for the first 75 days, I'm going to make a video every single day. And I haven't missed, right? And it's not been easy, right? I've been sick for 4 weeks. I've been tested over and over again. I believe the universe was saying, how much do you want it? How much do you truly want it? And I fucking want it, right? I want to impact lives. I want to leave a legacy. I want to show my children that if you want something, you can go out there and get it. You can do it. You can achieve whatever it is you want. Because see, if I tell them that without doing it myself, I am a hypocrite, right? And there was times I felt like giving up, right? But the one thing I would do is I would go back to that place where I always receive my truth, and that is in stillness. That's where I tap into who I am, what I truly desire. I get realigned. That's who I remember who I am, like from my center. And that's where I create from. This is never about grinding. It's about remembering. Because see, when a man moves from stillness, he doesn't chase, he attracts. Okay? And stillness is not passive, right? It's not lazy. It's not a lack of ambition. Stillness is presence. Stillness is true power. Stillness is what makes everything else work, right? And if you look back over the spiritual traditions, right, Taoism, Lao Tzu, he said the master does nothing, yet nothing is left undone, right? Why? Because he moves from alignment, not effort. And the Bhagavad Gita says, be steadfast in yoga, O Arjuna. Perform your duty and abandon all attachments to success or failure. That is a warrior's version of stillness. You still act, you still lead, but not from grasping, from centered. Stillness is what connects you to the divine. Okay? It allows you to hear true inner voice, the God within. Because it's in that silence, that's where your intuition speaks. Not your wounds, not from your ego, not from your programming, from your higher knowing. Right? See the man who's always in motion, he can't hear shit. He's too busy filling the space, where wisdom would come up. Okay, and this is the thing. Stillness doesn't disconnect you from anything, from life. It plugs you into what's important, what's deeper, right? Because it removes distortion. It clears out the desperation, right? The cravings of false urgency, and reveals what's actually true for you and what's yours to do. This is the sacred masculine. He is calm. He is certain. He is unshakable, right? And the Stoics, they didn't talk about stillness as an idea. They lived it, right? Marcus Aurelius, he ruled the Roman Empire while journaling things like, be like the rock that waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved. That is stillness, not hiding from life, right? But holding your center inside it, right? And what was it Seneca wrote? He said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. He who is everywhere is nowhere, right? Men who cannot slow down, they never arrive anywhere, right? The Stoics believed that clarity, strength, and purpose, that came from a calm mind. And a calm mind will only exist in stillness, right? That doesn't mean they were idle, right? They took massive action, but they trained themselves to stay centered, to respond instead of react, to pause before engaging. But see, modern men, you'll see it everywhere. Hustle harder, glorifying the hustle. It's unbelievable everywhere you look, right? And the Stoics, they mastered the pause. And this is why we still talk about them today, right? And if you look at it from a psychological lens, stillness is what creates self-awareness. And self-awareness is the most important tool to create change. Okay, and you want to know why most men sabotage their progress? Because they never slow down long enough to see what's really driving them. They confuse movement with progress. They confuse urgency with, clarity. They chase that dopamine hit, and they think it's ambition. But see, a true grounded action doesn't come from hype and false rah-rah motivation. It comes from true clarity. And clarity only arises in stillness, right? And as Carl Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. How many times have I used that quote? Right? Unbelievable. Because stillness is how you make the unconscious conscious. It's where the patterns reveal themselves. Those old beliefs, those deep-rooted hidden fears, those unresolved emotions that you've been running from since you're a boy. Right? Without stillness, you will keep repeating the same mistakes because you will not be aware. Right? With stillness, you remember that you're a fucking unfuckwithable master creator who came here to change the world. Right? And the science backs this up because stillness literally rewires your brain. Right? Neuroscience shows this. That see silence, when you sit in silence and you rest, your default mode network activates. So this is a part of your brain that is responsible for that deep reflection, right? The decisions that, that are important, your personal identity. And this is where the insight comes from. Not when you're grinding, not when you're forcing, but when you stop, when you listen, right? Meditation, aka a stillness practice, this has been proven to enhance your life in many ways, right? But it will reduce cortisol, right? So which reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and increases the grey matter in your prefrontal cortex. And especially if you're like me, who struggled with addiction, grey matter gets destroyed in addiction, but it also gets destroyed with constant distraction, any type of addictive behaviour. Okay, and the prefrontal cortex, that is responsible for conscious decision making. So what's the translation here? Stillness makes you calmer, smarter, and harder to knock off your course. right? And get this, right? Athletes, artists, Navy SEALs, and, high-level CEOs all have reported higher performance after integrated structural stillness. So they put that into their routines and they just perform better. Because stillness doesn't slow you down, it sharpens that sword, right? So let's start to incorporate it into your life. Because a lot of people think stillness, it means that you do nothing. No, it's not the absence of action. It's the presence of power, as I said, right? And most men, they say, I don't have time. That's bullshit, right? They don't lack time. They lack depth in their life. They're constantly moving. They tick the boxes. They're busy, busy, busy. But their actions, they fucking don't have no weight because they have no anchor. The world doesn't need, more busy fools. The world needs more conscious men. Right? What does stillness look like? Right? It looks like being able to sit in the room with no distractions, to not reach for your phone and be cool with just being with you. Right? It's about hearing your partner's emotions and not trying to jump in to fix or defend. Right? Having a clear vision for your life and not needing to shout about it to feel important. Right? It's about walking into the gym, the office, your home, and not dragging chaos with you. Right? Stillness is not about slowing down your life. It's about slowing down your nervous system so you can actually live your life and not just be stuck in survival mode. Because when a man can truly be still, he doesn't need to chase because he is presence, right? And that presence pulls. And that's the shift. You stop living like your next achievement will finally make you feel like a fucking successful man. And you just start living like a man who brings presence to whatever he touches, right? You stop giving your power away to, external outcomes. And you start sourcing clarity from fucking right here, right within. Right? This isn't something somebody can give you and say, here, there's presence, there's stillness. No, there's no permission slip, there's no finish line, there's no fucking fancy trophy. You either live from stillness or you don't. You either build a life from grounded action or you keep spinning in an oscillated cycle trying to prove yourself and get fucking nowhere. Right? Stillness is where real power lives. Right? That's the fucking be all and end all. Right? So let's build that discipline into your life. Right? Because as I said, it's not passive, it's trained. Everything in life, you train in some respect. Right? So it's not about just doing nothing. It's about doing the right things from the right energy and refusing to be pulled into the bullshit around you. So how do we do that, right? And as you'll notice, a lot of the steps that I do here, when you start in the morning, it's about, getting in the right energy straight away as you get up. Right in the morning, every morning, before the world gets fucking noisy and grabs your attention. No phone, no noise, just present. Sit there and breathe. Feel your body, anchor yourself. Deep breaths, and then choose, right? What energy am I choosing to live from today? The chaos or the calm? Right, and if you want to upgrade that, stick in some cold water, exposure, stick in some breath work, stick in some movement like the gym. Right, stillness doesn't mean you're soft. It means that you're building from the center and you're using your energy correctly. Okay, step number 2, the one decision rule. Throughout your day, stop fucking giving your energy everywhere. Right, when you're faced with a decision, just a simple question, ask yourself, does this align with the man I'm becoming? If it does, commit fully. If no, it's a fucking no. Right? No more being a yes man. No more indecisions. No more overthinking. Stillness is clarity. That's it. In motion. If it doesn't align, no. If it does align, boom, I'm in. Simple as that. Number 3, practice non-reactivity. You will be tested. Right? Disrespect, delay, discomfort. And this is where your stillness comes into real play. When something triggers you, pause. 3 deep breaths. Feel that impulse to react. But don't. Say less. Do less. Let the storm pass without jumping into it. This doesn't mean that you don't act. It means that you act from choice, not compulsion. You're in control. You're not letting your emotions control you. Okay, step number 4, sit in silence when you want to escape. And this one is uncomfortable. This is why it works. See, the next time you feel the urge to numb out, to scroll, to eat a bunch of shit, to reach for some type of stimulation, don't sit, breathe, stay, and just ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What's the discomfort I'm trying to run from? Feel it. Don't run, don't escape, don't numb. Stillness will reveal what movement hides. And once you face it, it stops owning you. Okay? Step number 5, anchor your vision into the present. Right? Masculine stillness isn't passive, it's clear. Each night, before you go to bed, lay a thought into that mind of yours and write down one sentence. The man I'm becoming leads from stillness by, and you can put whatever you want in there, by speaking less and listening more, or by making aligned moves, not impulsive ones. This is a nightly calibration, not for motivation, but for direction. So you go to sleep with the same energy you started the day with. Right? Stillness isn't a mood. It's not a hack. It's a discipline. Every time you slow down your breath, your thoughts, your reaction, you remind the world, I don't chase. I am a leader. I lead. Stillness is the sharpest edge a man can carry. Okay? And let me leave you with this today. The world doesn't need more frantic, maniac, fucking impulsive men who chase validation, who crumble under pressure, who spin their wheels and wonder why nothing sticks. The world needs you, anchored, grounded, still, clear, unshakable, unstoppable, unfuckwithable, right? And you don't get that from motivation. You don't get it from another tactic, strategy, quick fix, hack. You get it from presence, from choosing every single day to lead yourself first, to move from your center, not from your fear, to walk into every room knowing I don't need to chase a fucking thing. I am the mountain. Everything moves around me. And that's the energy of a man who commands respect without asking for it. Right? The man who will build the life that he dreams of. He will lead with power from the best possible way, not pressure. Okay, so do this. Start today. Slow down. Breathe deeper. Stop reacting. Move from stillness. Because you'll be surprised what starts to show up in your life. And it won't be because you've hunted it down, but because you've became the type of man who draws it into you. Right? And if this message hit home, brother, share it with another man who needs, a little bit of inspiration today. And if you're serious about stepping into that awakened savage, subscribe now, hit the notification bell, drop a little comment and a like. I would truly appreciate that, because this channel, it's not about me. It's about you. It's about us. It's about we, men who are done chasing and who are ready to start leading, because we are going through a massive awakening, brothers, and the world needs more men who are ready to lead. Okay? Stillness isn't weakness. It's a weapon. Okay? When the world gets loud, you stay calm. When everyone else fucking goes mental, you just respond, right? When others chase, you attract. This is the way of the awakened savage. And this is what you're just stepping into. And as always, I truly appreciate you and I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for everyone who has been on this journey so far. 75 days. I didn't know if I was going, I did know if I was going to get there, but you know what? It feels so good to know that I did. So thank you. I'll catch you on the next one. Got a video here and you can subscribe here.